Hey, it's Mike, and this is Reckless Palate. Today, we're going to talk about salt again. This is the second video in a three-part series I'm doing on salt and why we use salt and how to use salt. The three reasons that we talked about in my first video are it gives life, it takes life, and it changes your life and the ingredients you cook with. Last time, we talked about how it will change your life and your ingredients. And what we did is we made bread and we put salt in one batch of dough and we didn't put salt in the other batch of dough. And we looked at how stretchy the dough gets when you add salt. Today we're going to talk about how salt takes life. But in fact, we're not going to take life. We're just going to use that premise, okay? So normally, the life we're trying to take when we use salt in cooking is the life of bacteria. We don't want bacteria to be living in our food, the harmful type that will make us sick. So we use salt in things like cured meats, like prosciutto and salami, in pickles, like pickled onions and pickled cucumbers, and all kinds of foods like that when we cure foods in order to extract moisture, because bacteria need a moist environment to survive, okay? Today we're going to use salt to extract moisture from tomatoes, but not so that bacteria won't grow in them, so that we can enjoy that delicious moisture as a sauce for our tomato salad, okay? I got these lovely heirloom tomatoes at the grocery store today. It is February and we are in California, which means that there are no tomatoes here. But there are tomatoes in Mexico, and that's where this one came from. So let's cut this right down here. Little wonky spot on that tomato. That's right, I got plenty of tomato here. My trusty compost bin here. A lot of people probably see me cutting toward my hand and they're like, dude, no, danger. You're right, it's dangerous. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Don't try this at home. Don't cut toward your hand with a very sharp knife. P.S. This is a very sharp knife. That's very important when you're cutting things like tomatoes, because otherwise you're just like sawing away at this tough tomato skin, you know? Sharp knife is everything. Salt works through a process called osmosis. Osmosis, as I learned in my 10th grade biology class, is the passing of matter through a semi-permeable membrane. Something like that, right, Mr. Pitts? Okay, so I'll do another video on how to, slice things, knife skills and whatnot. Just cutting these into like bite-sized chunks of this. Pretty good for a February tomato. So we use salt to extract moisture from things. Salt works through osmosis, and it goes through the cell membranes of food, which, if you didn't know, food is about mostly like 90 to 100% living things. That's a real accurate figure right there, statistic. 90 to 100% of what you eat is living things. I made that up. But in fact, what do we eat that's not alive? Well, salt, for one. Minerals, that's kind of it. Vitamins, maybe? Are vitamins alive? I don't know. All plants, all animals that we eat for meat are all living things. Milk and eggs and honey, they're all products of living things. I think that's probably good, don't you? I'm not going to cut that third tomato up. It's just going to sit here and look beautiful, and I'll put it on a sandwich tomorrow. Oh, I'm throwing another ingredient into this. It's garlic, because come on now. Getting back to salt and osmosis. Salt works its way into the cell membrane via osmosis, and it draws out the moisture. I'm going to stop here and address something very important. And that is, a lot of people think that you're not supposed to salt meat at all or in advance because it's going to dry your meat out. And while that's technically true in certain cases, like pastrami or salami or prosciutto, if you're just like making a roast or something and you salt the roast a day or two in advance so the salt can really like penetrate the meat, you're not gonna dry your meat out, because what's gonna happen, as long as you keep it wrapped up, is the salt's gonna go in and the moisture's gonna come out, and the salt's gonna mix with the moisture, okay? And then it's going to incorporate itself back into the meat, because the meat wants to be in this like state of equilibrium. It doesn't want to have too much moisture, and it doesn't want to have too little moisture. So when you pull moisture out of it, it's going to want it back. And the thing is, if you use salt, it's going to pull the moisture out, and when it pulls it back, it's pulling it back with salt. And that's going to penetrate deeper into the meat. That's why you want to salt meat in advance, bigger cuts like that. That's why you want to like brine a turkey for a day or two in advance, okay? If you want to know more about how and when to use salt, I've got this amazing kosher salt guide. When you want to improvise with salt, it takes a little practice. My kosher salt guide is designed to help you get a baseline for how much salt to add to things, when to add it, how to add it, okay? It's free. You can go download it right now. Just go to recklesspalate.com/salt. It's my gift to you. I hope that it helps you get the results you're looking for when you're improvising in the kitchen and you're like, I don't know, it says salt to taste. What does that even mean? Like, salt the steak to taste. What do? Salt it and then lick it? Like, no. You got to have an idea of how much salt you want to add to your steak. So download my free kosher salt guide. It'll help you to figure that out. Okay, so back to... I put salt everywhere. Guess what? Who cares? We're using salt. So back to garlic. Okay, I'm going to chop this garlic up. I talked about knife skills a minute ago. I'll just touch on this. Notice when I do this, I am using my flat hand on top of the knife blade. Put my palm on the top of the blade, curl my fingers up and away. You don't want to get lazy and be doing this, because you're going to lose your fingertips like I have many times. Okay, so learn from my pain. So flat palm on top of the blade, and then you just rock it, okay? I'm not hacking, I'm just rocking. That's why knives like this, like a chef's knife, have a curve to it, so that when you put it on the cutting board, it'll rock, okay? This knife is not meant for hacking straight down. A knife like this it's a Santoku. See how it's pretty much flat? That knife is for chopping straight down. Chop, 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 chop. I'm just going to continue mincing up this garlic. Give you a little tip on chopping/mincing garlic, okay? When you mince something, chop something, slice something, I have a rule of thumb, and my rule of thumb is chop it as small as you think it needs to be, and then just a little bit more. Okay, so this is starting to look like I want it, and so by my rule of thumb, I'm going to say one more time. So I'm just go over this one more time here, and voila. I'm pretty proud of that. So, don't try that at home. You're going to cut yourself. I'm going to go ahead and add this. And I'm going to rinse off my knife, because this garlic oil is going to turn to like super glue in about 0.2 seconds. So excuse me while I do this. And we're back. Come on now. Riesling. My favorite. All right, now we got some minced garlic and some tomatoes, okay? Salt. Okay? This is what's happening. I'm going to grab a healthy pinch of salt, download my kosher salt guide. It's totally free. It'll give you an idea of how much salt I'm adding. I can look at this and say, oh yeah, probably about like a teaspoon of salt in this thing will do the trick. I have a sense of that. But if you don't have a sense of that, if you look at that and say, I don't know, like that maybe, I guess, I don't know, salt, you know. If that's you, or if you're like, this whole thing, I guess, you know, I don't know, download the guide. It's super helpful. It's going to get you there. It's going to get you to the point where you can look at this and say, there, that's enough, okay? Now I'm just going to toss this around. I'm trying to be real delicate with this because I don't want to beat up these tomatoes too badly. All right, so what I'm doing here, and oh God, you can already see it happening. I'm going to bring this over to you guys. All right, so see that? There you go. That liquid's already starting to come out. That salt is coaxing that liquid right out of those tomatoes, okay? And what we're going to do is we're just going to toss this a little more so it's got the salt. Okay, and the garlic everywhere. I'm just going to set that aside, and what it's going to do is the salt is going to coax that liquid out of that, and it's going to make a delicious little kind of sauce. And then we're just going to add a little bit of olive oil, a little pepper, and depending on how salty it tastes, when we're ready to eat it, we might sprinkle a little more salt on there, some of that delicious coarse sea salt that we talked about in the first video, finishing salt, so that when we bite into it, it's not only flavorful, it has that salty, crispy crunch on it. Yes, we love that. Okay, let's take a look at this tomato salad. It's juicy. I'm going to come show you. Okay, so here we have it. Let me just hold that like that. Whoa, I can't even tip it. I'm going to have to show you from the side. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at all of that. It's kind of hard to see in it. Here, let's try this. Oh, woo! Take my word for it, okay? All right, we got some delicious sauce at the bottom here. I'm going to taste this. Yeah, you know what? Tomatoes, garlic, salt. Come on. What else could you add to make it amazing? Olive oil. All right. I'm not going to tell you to buy expensive olive oil. I am going to tell you that this is expensive olive oil and that we use it sparingly, okay? And by sparingly, I mean I'm going to pour it all over these tomatoes. But, you know, I don't cook with this stuff. I don't pour it in a pan and, like, sear steaks with it or something like that. I like the sea salt, which is also expensive, you know. I use it for finishing. I put it in things where I'm really going to taste this olive oil. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to pour, you know, a fair drizzle on this tomato salad here. Yes. This oil has a lot of flavor. It's Athenolia grease. All right, now I'm going to take this and, you know, I wasn't going to do this, but I am going to add just a splash of vinegar. This is sherry vinegar. You can use whatever type of vinegar you like. I mean, white vinegar like distilled vinegar would probably be a little kind of lackluster. These vinegars have flavor, besides being tart. So, see how I did that? I just put my thumb over it, and it just kind of drizzles out. As long as your hands are clean, that's totally cool. Unless you have like a little like pory thing like this, or a little squirty thing on the end of your vinegar or whatever. I like that thumb method. It allows you to like just dump it, you know, and kind of comes out like a bitters bottle or a Worcestershire sauce or something like that, where you kind of go. So anyway, oil and vinegar. Set those out of the way. Just give it another little kind of toss with the old hands here. I didn't get a chance to say this because I like freaked out over how delicious it was, but it's salty enough. I'm not going to add any like crunchy salt on top. It would just make it too salty. I could have used a little less salt here, but it wouldn't have made all of the juice that I wanted it to. Yeah, that's brilliant. Now let me get a spoon and I'll see if I can show you how juicy this is. I added oil and vinegar, so this is not all tomato juice, but a lot of it's tomato juice. My buddy Josh, he's an amazing cook. Totally intuitive. He just loves to cook, and he gets it, you know. Not like me, where I burned water for years until I went to culinary school and learned how not to ruin food. But Josh and his wife Matula's Greek. They tell me that Greek people make this tomato salad, and they eat it, and then they fight at the end over who gets all the delicious juice that's left at the bottom. It's just this amazing salty, tart, garlicky tomato juice. So I'm just kind of like ladling it over the tomatoes here to kind of get them all super juiced up. You can add herbs to this if you want to. I like oregano with this one. Basil works great too, but you know, I just like to eat it the way it is right here. So there you go. Salt takes life. Who knew it would be so delicious? You know, we're not preserving this. We're just making a very, 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 very flavorful liquid here as kind of a dressing for our tomato salad. But, you know, you can use salt to extract moisture out of things, to preserve it if you want to. But if you're just improvising in the kitchen like this, like I am, and you need a hand knowing how much salt to add to things, download my free kosher salt guide, recklesspalate.com/salt, and it'll give you a real good head start on learning how to be intuitive when you're cooking with salt. All right, well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you have a dish that you use salt in that you think is amazing because of the salt, like I think this is amazing because of the salt, leave in a comment below the video here. I would like to hear what you have to say about using salt and when you feel it's absolutely necessary to make a delicious meal. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. And make sure and catch my next video. It'll be the third video in the installment of the salt series. We will talk about how salt gives life, meaning why we find it delicious and how to use it to make your food extra delicious. All right, cook reckless, y'all.